Certainly be interesting, madam, for me to know what the next thing I knew after you were going with your friend to the cities to see some of his friends. You don't know anything until after you wake up in a hospital. Wouldn't you be concerned?
As soon as I woke up, I contacted my brother.
What date?
I'm not sure. I don't remember exact dates.
I mean, you have 3 children. What do you mean you don't know what date?
I don't know the exact dates, but I did contact him as soon as I was able to, because I did not have my own phone.
Don't you see how irresponsible this whole story is for a person who has 3 children?
Yes.
How totally irresponsible it is. And what is sad about it is you appear to be an intelligent person who just seems to go from one place to another based upon, well, I used to know him in Texas, I used to know him in Colorado, I used to know him here, I'll leave my 2 boys with Carmela.
And we don't have no children, so we're taking care of her children while she's out running around doing whatever.
I didn't ask you anything. Okay. I can actually visualize the picture, and sadly, so can you. What date did she finally contact you after she disappeared again?
So after a Thursday after Easter Sunday.
Thursday after Easter Sunday, so that's the
21st of April is the Thursday after Easter this year.
It was actually Monday, the 25th.
We got records.
That's when I came home.
I don't care. I just want to know when you showed up again.
I contacted my brother, and I let him know what had happened. And then he was asking about our father, like I was supposed to go pick up our father.
I don't care. Let's get to the lawsuit. Now that I understand the characters that I'm dealing with, it is your claim that your brother and or his girlfriend took some of your property, didn't give you all your property that you should have had, because they finally said, we've had enough of you and your shenanigans. Goodbye.
I did not start leaving the house until that April. I was in the house the whole time with my boys. I've asked them maybe to watch them overnight a couple times, but that's it.
I don't care. They had enough of you. You didn't pay rent. They could say to you, goodbye. We tried to do our best. You took advantage of us. Goodbye. Now, that being said, you stayed with them for how many months and didn't pay them any rent, any utilities? How many months? You and your boys?
4.
4 months.
Because I started paying my brother in February.
Paying him what?
Money. I gave him money.
No, I don't want to know who gave him money. Rent. I know that at your age, maybe you think you're too young. Maybe you're too young. They either rent their house, they have a mortgage on their house, they have things that they have to pay.
We did not agree upon a set amount for every month. We did not
Well,
agree upon
don't you think you should agree on a certain amount every month? You just came into $11,000.
And it was actually way more than 4 months.
Shh. You just came into $11,000. You've been living off somebody else's largesse. You just came into $11,000 that I gave you, or they gave you, but you certainly didn't work for. So you say to at least the person who you're staying with, listen, I'm going to give you a couple of $100s a month just to cover my share of the expenses because you're 2 people and we're 3.
I gave him $400 when I got my taxes. As soon as I got it, I gave him money.
Did you pay Carmela for watching the children?
Yes, I did.
$400?
Yes.
Okay. Did she pay you?
Yes.
She says in her complaint that you sold a computer of hers. She says you felt that she owed you more money because you actually watched the children for a longer period of time than the week that she paid you for when she doesn't remember where she was. Did you sell her computer?
I actually gave it away.
No, I don't believe that.
I did. And it's not
Well, why
her
would you
computer.
give it away? That's just spiteful.
Because it was family, and...
What do you mean it was family?
It was family.
I am not your family.
Chip, I don't want you to speak. You have no right to give her things away.
It wasn't hers, and I have proof right here.
Whose was it?
Yeah. Who knows? I guess her friends.
That doesn't matter. It was in her possession.
It was in our possession, actually.
It was. She left it with us when she left.
I left it at the house.
No. That you may think is in your possession.
She asked me to sell it for her.
What?
She even asked me to sell it for her.
But it was not in your
Just a
possession.
second.
It was in my room.
Madam.
Yes.
If she asked you to sell it for her, then you don't give it away.
Well,
if she says, sell my computer for me, then you sell it. Then you don't say, I can't sell it, so I'm just going to give it away.
I gave it to one of the kids in the family that I thought could use it way more than her trying to use it to bail out her friend from jail.
That's not...
And she owed me a whole bunch more money.
Who died and left you boss?
Well, me in the house, because it was our house.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You met her in a shelter.
Yes.
How long have you lived in that house that you're currently living in?
August of 2018, to be exact.
Before that, the lease was in my name.
What part of I don't want to hear you? So you moved into his house?
Yes.
Right, so it's not your house.
Well.
It's his house. And since you're not his wife, you're his girlfriend for now, you have no right to sell or give away any of her property. Whether you think somebody deserves it more than she deserves it, hey, that doesn't require an answer. I'm telling you what the rule is.
Oh.
Caption coming up.
You wanted them to sell your TV,
Yes.
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Alyssa, Jordan, and Carmela.
Alyssa Bolio has accused her brother, Jordan Thompson, and his girlfriend, Carmela Turchiarelli, of wrongfully selling her belongings. Jordan and Carmela claim Alyssa gave them permission to remove her property.
Now, you have no right to go into somebody else's bag. If they gave you instructions and you accepted those instructions, please sell my computer for me, which is what you just said. Isn't that what she just said?
It is what she just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sell my computer for me, and you decided not to sell it, but just to give it to somebody else in the family who could better benefit from it. You got to pay for the computer. Period.
She owed me money.
Period.
I have the evidence.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. That's a different story. Carmela, let me tell you something, sir. You look like a very nice guy. You look like a very nice guy. I would unload her as fast as I could.
Oh.
I'm just telling you.
Wow.
I'm just telling you. Because first she says, I gave it away. Let's understand what she says. First she said, I gave it away. Then she said, she told me to sell it, right?
Yes.
Then she said, I gave it to somebody who I thought could use it better than she was using it. Now, I'm going to ask you, Kevin, to go get the 2 pieces of paper that she wants me to review that she owed her money, and then I'm going to go back and explain to your lovely Carmela, listen to me, sir.
I'm listening.
Who I would think twice about.
Carmela shakes her head. Judy reviews the document.
Well, I don't see anything about a computer here. I see that you wanted them to sell your TV,
Yes.
jacket, and all of this is so that you can get him out of jail.
Yes.
Oh. I didn't see anything about the computer. I see the TV, I see a jacket.
Here, it's right here.
Just a second. It's not in the ones you gave me, but I'm glad you gave that to me because I have some indication that she did, in fact, ask you to start selling stuff because this is the same person
Yes.
that you went to the cities with.
Yes, and
Yes, when you forgot where you were and woke up in a hospital.
Yes.
Judy shakes her head.
Okay, found someone who wants that digital graphic computer. So can you put it in the living room or by my door? So you were going to sell your digital computer.
Yes.
Was it his computer?
It was, but he had given it to me.
So you wanted to sell it.
Yes.
And you say, I'm not giving it to you until you pay me what you owe me for childcare, because you felt as if she should pay you more money because you watched the children longer than a week.
And there's a couple other reasons.
And
She owed me
whatever,
the other
and a
bu-
pair
she
of
owed me-
shoes. I don't care anything about that. You have a bill for the computer?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
Alyssa produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
No, I don't like this because the date was changed. The date the order was placed was to April 18th, 2022. So this is not a legitimate, it may be a legitimate price, but it says order placed on April 18th, 2022. You want to take a look at that? Because that's phony. Somebody changed that. No, somebody changed it.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
When did you get it?
I got it in April.
I don't believe this. Take a look.
Judy hands the document to Sarah.
When did he go to jail?
The 25th
Of
April.
what?
Of April.
And you left on vacation with him when?
A week before Easter, so I'm not really sure.
A week before Easter, Sarah. What's the date?
The week before Easter, the previous Sunday would be the 10th, April 10th.
April 10th. And you were away for a week.
Yes.
And then you don't remember where you were.
No, that was the second week.
That was the second week.
Yes. I was in Colorado for the full week, and I came back the day before Easter, and then I left on Easter Day, and then
And when did you get this computer? You see, that's what I'm asking you. When could you possibly have gotten this computer if the bill
This is dated the 18th,
of April?
which I believe they said was the day she came back.
When could you have possibly gotten it from him?
I ordered it for him. I paid for it, and then he gave it to me.
Listen, I suggest you both get your acts together. You get nothing from your brother. Just consider yourself very, very lucky that he took care of you and that he let you come into his house. I would suggest you not do it again, and maybe she'll get smart. She has 3 children. She'd like to raise them together. She should get a job. Find a way of making a living. Figure it out, because you made 3 children. They have a right to a certain amount of stability.
And they all are stable.
That's not stability.
That is
Get it
stability.
together. Oh, well, sometimes you can't get through to people. They're that kind of thick, and that's why we are where we are in this country. Do you understand?
Yes,
Think
ma'am.
twice. I know you tried to be a good brother.
Yep.
Think twice about doing it again. By the way, does your mother work?
Yes.
And it mentioned something about a father. What kind of work did your father do?
I don't really remember.
He was a logger.
Both your parents work.
Yep.
Good. Evidently, it didn't rub off. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Alyssa, then Carmela and Jordan.
I'm okay with it.
She was the friend, and I love her children. And really, it wasn't about her. It's about them kids.
He won't talk to me because of her.
You need a job. You need to
Change.
change. Something needs to change with her.
I don't really care.
Hopefully she does figure it out. The kids deserve it. He deserves it. He's a good brother.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, that case takes me back to my family court days. And I only have one observation other than the fact that I'm what should be society's frustration with this, which is once you have children, you have the responsibility, your sole responsibility is to make sure that your children are taken care of. You have to say, listen, my social life takes a back seat. Everything else takes a back seat. But I have 3 little kids, and they are my priority. So I have to do whatever I can to put my life in order. And she clearly has her priorities all messed up.
I agree. I think I can understand and empathize with those women who are parents who can't provide a stable environment for their children and temporarily leave them with a mother, a father, a family member, while they can provide for a stable environment, go get a job, go try and find constant housing. But it blows my mind. I can't empathize with leaving your children with family to take care of and then not doing anything to put yourself in a position to care for them.
In a better place. Yeah. You're right. I don't have to
Unfortunate.
worry.
Title: Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. His brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., for personal property and filing a false police report.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Case 2143, Simpsons versus McCowan Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Simpson, you lived with Mr. McGowan for, looks like 7 years is what you said.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. It was off and on.
What do you mean off and on?
Well, I had another residence as well.
Okay.
And
It's going to get more complicated, I see, than less complicated. You lived off and on, according to you, with the defendant's brother, who is now deceased. Yes. It is your claim at one point in your papers that you and the defendant's brother were married.
yes, ma'am.
He passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that the defendant owes you money. He was the executor of the estate, and he owes you money for property that he took from the house and for filing a false police report against you, I assume indicating that you took things from the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McGowan says that you and his brother were never married, while he indicates in his papers there might have been some sort of ceremony of marriage.
Yes.
That his brother somehow must have told him that he never filed the marriage license, so the marriage was never valid.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, let's go to that for a moment.
Yeah.
Yes, it's sort of curious and takes me back to law school days. And believe me, that really tests my memory. Were you at the ceremony where your brother married the plaintiff?
No, ma'am, I was not.
When did your brother tell you that there was a marriage ceremony?
I probably heard it just throughout life.
You mean throughout life for how long?
From the time that he had any dealings with her.
So about 7 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So you asked your brother whether he was married?
Yes.
How long ago was this?
I would say 4 years ago.
Okay, so 4 years ago, you say to your brother, I understand that you, what's your first name?
Mona.
Mona got married.
Well, so he gave me an insurance document, and I was like, wow, what's going on? What about all this?
He gave you an insurance document that said what?
From the VA indicating that I was going to be the person that gets the money upon if he demise.
If he died,
right, and
you had a VA insurance policy.
Yes, ma'am.
With you as the beneficiary.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so he showed you the insurance policy.
Well, he sent it to me in the mail.
Okay, and
or email or electronic. And so I said, wow, what's going on? So then I started to ask different questions, and he said, well, don't worry about that. We're not legally married.
No, you have to tell me. I said to him.
I said to him, so doesn't your wife
Isn't she the beneficiary?
I don't want to be involved in all this.
Right.
And he said, I am not married. We went through a ceremony, and you have 10 days to file the
marriage license.
The marriage license in Las Vegas.
Okay.
To solidify the marriage. And then he said, I never filed it. We are not married.
May I?
Just a second. Did your brother tell you that he had ever told Ms. Simpson that he never filed the marriage license?
No, we never had that conversation.
Okay, well, because you say in your answer, sir, that my brother was too smart for that, he never mailed in the license.
Well, he told me because there was a problem between these two. And so we talked about that, and he said, no, I'm not married to her. And he said, you have to file the document, and I never filed the document. And I have a copy of that right here.
Miss Simpson,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me when this ceremony took place in Las Vegas.
April 2013.
Did you travel there with Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am. We moved to Vegas together.
Who was at the ceremony?
It was no ceremony. What happened was I don't know what this is. What happened was we went to the Justice of the Peace, and the 10 days is not accurate.
No, don't. Don't
apologize.
Tell me.
We had 1 year to go to like a pastor or minister or something like that because we just went to the Justice of the Peace in Vegas. They give you a year to do it, whereas it's, I guess, what I think the term is officiant or something. Officiant has to do it so you can become married permanently.
So you knew that you were not legally married?
Well, it was legal, but it would be official if you don't do another step within a year. And
I understand that, but you never did the other step.
We didn't, only because he was sick, ma'am.
I don't care what the reason was. I don't care if he was watching Yellowstone or because it doesn't matter why.
I respect that.
What? You can get hooked on that.
No, yeah.
I understand.
So
no,
I don't care what the reason is. You knew that your marriage, because it wasn't confirmed, according to you, within a year that you weren't legally married.
Yes, ma'am. And that
okay, just a second. That's all I want to know. That makes my life much easier. Because, Mr. McGowan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Under what you told me, under the events that you told me, you see, you should have kept your mouth shut.
No, it's okay.
No.
It's going to be okay in the end. It's going to make a lot of sense in the end.
No, I understand that it's going to make a lot of sense to me. We're going to follow the money. But I just want to tell you and the people who are watching this that when I thought about your answer, that you said your brother was too smart and didn't file the necessary document within 10 days, my view of that scenario was that she could still consider herself his wife. Because if he fraudulently, in an attempt to deceive her, didn't mail the marriage license in, she would be the beneficiary. I'm just letting you know that. You understand what I just said?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he committed a fraud on her. He would have committed a fraud, your brother, on her into leading her to believe that they were a married couple and they had the responsibilities and the benefits of a married couple. But she says she volunteered that she knew they weren't married.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to address that.
And it's okay.
Just a second. I know where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So Mr. McGowan, the person that you were involved in for a period of years, on and off, you had your own place, but he was ill for a certain period of time. Was your brother ill?
No, ma'am.
No. Just a second. Key says no. You say he was ill for a great portion
When
of
I
that
first
time.
met him.
Shh. Just a second. For a great portion of that time, and that you were his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paid as his caregiver by the government.
The VA, yes, ma'am.
By the VA to be his caregiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be inconsistent with being his wife, to be his caregiver. Because if you're a wife, you don't get benefits from the VA. If you are a non-relative and caring for somebody who requires assistance, you may get assistance. And how much was the VA? Just answer my question.
ma'am.
This is not my first rodeo.
Okay, I understand.
How much was the VA paying you a month to take care of, what was your brother's first name?
Marcus.
How much were you being paid to take care of Marcus? Because you say that one check you didn't get because of him. It's part of your lawsuit, so you know exactly how much you
Yes,
were paid.
ma'am.
How much?
$2,057.55.
A month.
Yes,
and when
ma'am.
did you start collecting that?
2014.
Woo!
Caption coming up.
You are a legal stranger, so you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ramona and Clayfors.
Ramona Simpson claims her ex-boyfriend's brother, Cleefers McCowan Jr., threw out her personal belongings. Cleefers is countersuing for damage and stolen property.
Okay, so there was a reason why you didn't continue to solemnize the marriage ceremony that you went through in 2013, because you started to collect $2,000 a month from the VA in 2014 that you couldn't have collected were you his wife. That's a yes.
No, it isn't, ma'am.
Oh.
Receiving the benefits from the VA, you have to be a family member. You have to be related to that person in order to get this stipend pay. It wasn't a regular VA payment, and it's for relatives. You have to be a relative for that veteran.
What are you getting? Oh,
Yes, it's true.
Check that,
Full
Sarah.
of stipend pay for the VA, because we're both disabled veterans. It's not like I just had to do this. I loved him, and I cared for him, and he was sick the day I met him.
Just a minute, you both disabled veterans?
Well, my disability was not as crucial as his was.
How much do you collect?
I very minimum, because
Which I asked a
30%.
question. That's a very minimum.
Yes.
It's not a number.
Yes, it's $300 and some change. But the thing is, Your Honor, may I speak, please? He was sick from the day that I met him, and I was taking care of him prior for that. This was his idea, because he was familiar with the veterans and the system. This was his idea that we can receive funds, and it stayed right in the household. We were living together. It was stayed in the household, and that's okay with
I
them.
thought you told me a moment ago that you had your own place.
No, not then, ma'am. Not then, when we moved back from Vegas, because we stayed in Vegas for approximately 3 years. When we moved back from Vegas, he had purchase of home and everything, and it was supposed to be okay. We were going to be together. But he started living another alternate life, which he was very familiar with, because he's introduced him to so many people. I don't even care about that. I still continue to take care of Marcus. It was no longer a romantic situation.
Now you still continue. You had your own place.
I lived both places, because he needed me more there than he did when we was living together.
What kind of alternative lifestyle was he doing that he needed you there part-time?
He was seeing other people and
he was
stuff like
seeing
that.
women.
Pardon me?
He was seeing other women.
He was seeing other people, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he was seeing other people. But you, let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
But you continued to receive the $2,057. You knew you weren't married. That money was coming directly to you. It wasn't coming to him.
Well,
it was coming to you. At what address?
He was giving me a portion from his bank account, and then when we discontinued everything, there was nothing physical. Then I was receiving my full allotment at that point, but I was still taking care of him, taking him to the VA, taking him to the hospital.
Wait just a second. I don't care. Don't go like this and like this. He's a legal stranger to you, and you're getting $2,000 a month to take him to the VA.
Ma'am, he was not a legal stranger.
He was a legal stranger to you. Legal. He was not your mother, father, brother, sister, or husband?
Ma'am, he was a dear friend for me. He
okay.
continued to be a
Okay.
friend, honestly.
Yeah, well, he's-
and he knows that. We went to several places together.
I'm setting up for myself what is the actuality of the situation. Now, I understand that I was really not prepared for this scenario. I was prepared for somebody, quite frankly, Miss Simpson, who had been defrauded by his deceased brother into believing they were married. She took care of him when he was sick. And all of a sudden, now that he's deceased, his brother comes in, kicks her out of the house, and takes all of his property. That's the scenario. But now I understand that that is not the case, that you knew you weren't married, that for 8 years you collected $2,000 a month for taking him to the doctor's offices, to the vet, to taking care of him in the house, but you understood that he was seeing other people, that you didn't have an exclusive relationship. Now I understand it. And you did receive a certain benefit from that, because when you moved back from Vegas, you went to your own place because he was having an alternative life that had nothing to do with you. At that point, was the money going to his bank account or yours?
It was going to his bank account, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you say that he notified the government. Part of your lawsuit is for 1 month's check that you say, or 2 months that you didn't get. And you say you didn't get it because he notified the VA or somebody notified the VA. I don't care who notified the VA, but I want to know is, with those checks immediately preceding Mr. McGowan's death, going into his bank account or yours that he had?
His. It was going into Marcus's bank account.
Okay, and he was giving you money from that bank account?
Prior to his death, yes, ma'am.
Right up to the time he got sick and died?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
and how much would he give you?
He would have given me $2,057. $2,000.
All right.
No,
okay,
you mean total?
No,
I'm sorry.
No. I get it. It was not what I thought, but I get it.
Ma'am, may I
okay,
please say
money owed
something?
for the return of property. What property?
The property, which is my funds. I have jewelry that was missing and clothing that I never received because he kicked out his niece and boarded up the house.
Just a second. Was your brother taken to the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
On what date?
28th of August, 2021.
Okay.
He was nowhere to be found.
Just what?
He wasn't around.
Just a second.
I did that.
Just a second. Did you take him to the hospital?
I had his daughter to call the ambulance. I got to Marcus's house and I followed him to the hospital. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, well, you want to just answer my question? I actually understand the whole scenario. You understand that I do understand the money part. I get it. So when you say his daughter called the ambulance and you got over there from your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who do you live with there?
My daughter and my son.
And in whose name is the lease?
My daughters, my son, and myself.
So all three are on the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had a lease at that address?
2017.
Okay, so we're talking about 5 years that you've had an alternative address. You have an answer for me?
There is a Veterans Affairs program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. It says $2,800 a month, but based on a fee schedule that can change. So the 2057 fits within the range.
And does it define family members?
It doesn't define the family caregiver, only that the VA may appoint someone who's part of the primary family caregivers to the veteran, but it doesn't identify who qualifies as a family caregiver.
As a family caregiver. And that's the act that you were under. But you were not a member of his family.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not a member of his family.
Well,
not a well.
That.
Not a well. This is not a well. You're living with your daughter, your son, on a lease since 2017. You know he's got an alternative lifestyle that has absolutely nothing to do with you. He was giving you the $2,000 a month. I don't know why. I don't even have to get into that.
But you were not that individual.
But you were not a family member. If this is for family,
it does go to the veteran to then give the family caregiver, though.
Okay, but you are a legal stranger to him. So you must have filled out forms to say that you were married.
No, it's up to that. It's up to that individual, the veteran, and I know how the procedure goes. It's up to that individual. I was considered a family member. I was no longer considered the wife, but I was considered.
Well, you're not no longer. You were never his wife. So if he filled out a form and
I'm okay with that, ma'am, because I could have.
Okay, so he had the right. You were never his wife. He had the right to board up the house, whichever it is, and you weren't living there for 5 years. You had a place. So if you had clothes there and your jewelry, what were your clothes and your jewelry there? If he was fooling around with other women, why would you leave your clothes and your jewelry in the house?
Okay, ma'am, the thing is, no one has came to the home as another woman in that home. I was always there. He has no proof or evidence that I was not there. So basically, I had their clothes there because I stayed there. I lived there.
Forget it. You were more than compensated with $2,000 a month. What's next?
Caption coming up.
I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Ramona and Clayfors.
Ramona Simpson is accusing defendant Cleefers McCowan Jr. of throwing out her personal belongings.
Okay. Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Did you dispose of any of her property?
I didn't. She had no property there.
Just a second. I don't believe she had any property there either. Anything of value.
And I did.
Okay.
Can I?
Excuse me.
I did find what the VA considers a caregiver. So if you're a spouse, son, daughter, parent, step-family member, or extended family member of a veteran, or if you live full-time with them, or if you're willing to live full-time with them if they designate you as the family caregiver.
So technically,
if you're willing to live with the veteran full-time, you could be qualified as a family caregiver, but it's up to the veteran to declare their own family
caregiver if you live there full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she stated if you were willing to, and I was always willing to.
Okay.
And because
Good. I don't feel as if you were shortchanged, madam, at all. And I don't believe that you had anything of value in the house. So your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to the second part of your claim. You say she took property from the house?
Yes, ma'am.
What property?
She took jewelry, guns.
What jewelry?
Chains, rings, cufflinks.
Show me.
Entire.
Show me. How am I going to figure that out? You have photographs of things?
Yes, I have some photographs here.
This is so sad.
So sad you have to put a period and end it. You had a good thing going for 9 years.
Ma'am, the money was paid in the arrears, first of all. So me not getting paid for, and this is really not a big issue to me, what he's saying, because they're all lies, and I'll tell you the truth.
Just say, I'm not saying anything, madam. All I'm saying is you have no case, because I don't believe that somebody who lived in a lifestyle, as you've described,
Can you talk to my witness, ma'am?
as you've described to me, which is you have your own home, where you're on a lease since 2017, where you said to me he had an alternative lifestyle, but I still took him to his VA appointments. I took him, and I was his caregiver, but I lived with my daughter and my son. I don't believe that you leave any valuable jewelry at his house.
I was there most of the time, honestly.
You don't need valuable jewelry if you're taking care of a sick person.
But
Can I see?
I was staying with also friends, ma'am.
I've decided your case.
I respect that.
Clayfors hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
This is just what had happened to looking for everything that was taken in there.
I don't care. Who cares? What are you showing me? You're showing me that the place is a mess, that somebody went through it?
I'm showing you what...
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. Prior to his death, when had you seen your brother last?
I had seen him about 5 days prior to that.
You live close by?
I was living in San Diego at the time, and he lived in Highland, which is 79 miles up the 15 freeway.
Okay, so 5 days prior. Prior to the 5 days prior that you saw your brother, when had you seen him before?
We see each other quite frequently. We have family barbecues, this, that, and the other. I'm retired. I go.
Okay, would you return these to him? These don't show me any jewelry.
Okay.
It shows me that the house looked like it was picked through.
Okay. Thank you.
What else?
So quite frequently.
That's it. Did you get a VA benefit from your brother for his insurance?
From the life insurance policy.
Yeah, that's from the VA.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much did you receive?
$2,600.
Who paid for his funeral?
I did.
How much was that?
$1,100 or $1,200.
So you took some of the insurance money and paid for it?
Yes.
Did he have any other valuable asset?
He had quite a bit of stuff. It's in probate as we speak.
Oh, so case is in probate now?
It's in probate right now as we speak.
Oh, great. So I don't have to deal with it. Your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Ramona.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the judge, but she didn't listen to me.
Well, I'm happy that the judge made the decision that she made.
He's a habitual liar.
Thief, My brother died, and within a half a day went over and burglarized the house.
This is something that he can laugh about, and he's going to go and tell the whole world that I'm still a liar. I'm still a this, that, and the other.
There is quite a bit of items that belong to me that this person stole.
That you can love someone and not be married to them. You can help someone and not be married to them and making love to them. I was genuinely there to help Marcus because I love Marcus.
The devil. I don't want the devil, you know, the devil.
He barred me from the funeral. I didn't fight it because the respect I have for his family and for Marcus. I could have went there. No. I said, you know what? I won't be there.
I hope that she crawls back in the rat hole she came out of and does whatever she does.
Judy and Sarah.
You know what was interesting in that case, Sarah? When I read the complaint and the answer, I had a whole different vision.
Me too.
Of what the arrangement was. And based upon what the defendant wrote in his answer, that his brother, with regard to the marriage, to his brother telling him, I'm too smart, I didn't mail in the papers.
Read like fraud a little bit.
Right.
But she was in on it. She knew. She didn't complete the steps.
She didn't complete the step for a different reason,
Sure.
but she knew
that they weren't legally married.
That they weren't legally
Which
married.
changes the whole game from a legal perspective.
Right. Certainly the fact that the case is currently in probate made my life a lot easier. Anyway, it should be a warning signal when you get married out there, folks, and you have a marriage license, because I performed enough weddings to know you have to seal it, sign it, put a stamp on it, and usually put it in the mail within 3 days of the ceremony. So brides and grooms, make sure you put it in the mail together, or watch the officiant put it in the mail.
Can never be too sure.
Right.
Title, Judy Justice.
Are you having a family dispute? Her former friend, Cardi Moran, for television damage caused during an argument.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Case 2144, Paramount versus Morgan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judy turns to Jennifer.
Ms. Paramount, you and the defendant had been friends.
Yes.
Then, according to what I read, there was a falling out, which you will tell me about briefly. Subsequently, and without too much time having passed, you decided to conduct an intervention, a drug intervention, with the defendant.
Yes.
And it is your claim that during that drug intervention, she damaged your television set, and you want her to pay for a new TV. That's what your case is about. The defendant has a cross-complaint. She says she's missing some sort of a speaker. I don't know what that is. And for the emotional distress that she suffered as a result of this intervention. So I have a couple of questions, just preliminarily. How long have you known each other?
Over 20 years.
Friends?
Yes, best friends. Former best friends.
Former
now.
best friend. But there came a time, according to your complaint, that there was a falling out. And when was that?
That was in May of this year.
And what was the falling out about?
It was about our mutual friend and...
This gentleman?
Yes.
What about your mutual friend?
He was in the hospital, and we were all taking care of him. And she felt adamant to tell me that I need to do certain things for him. And I was letting her know that if he needs to tell me he needs my help, he can tell me.
Okay, there were several people looking after him while he was in the hospital, taking turns, is that right?
Yes.
And she was telling you things that you should be doing for him, and you said to her, if he wants me to do something, let him tell me, you don't direct me.
Correct.
Okay, tell me the next thing that happened that brings us to court today.
Well, after that, in May, I blocked her. We didn't speak.
Did you go to visit him?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And did you?
Yes.
So you both did. Okay, so you blocked her in May. Then what's the next thing that happened?
Now we're in September, and this was...
And between May and September, you haven't seen her?
Haven't seen her.
Okay.
And now it's September. It's Labor Day weekend, and our friend Brandon wanted to mend our friendship back together. And it kind of did, because we've been friends for so long. We talked and kind of mended.
Okay.
Okay, so I unblocked her. And then on that Sunday, September 4th, she calls me at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I guess she still felt uneasy about, you know, us not talking for so long, that she demanded an apology from me.
She called you early in the morning demanding an apology for what?
For basically just, I was in the wrong of not listening to her about our friend.
Okay, and then what happened?
So I refused to give her an apology. I said, we can move past it, but I'm not apologizing, which she got upset again and hung up the phone on me. And after that, she basically called a family member of mine.
Not basically.
Sorry.
You say that she placed a call to a family member.
Yes.
Okay, and you can't tell me what that family member told you because that's hearsay. You
Correct.
understand that. Okay, so she called a family member, and that was on September 4th.
Yes.
Okay, a family member called you.
The family member actually
Did what?
lives with me. So they didn't call me.
Okay, well, you can tell me the relationship.
It's just family.
Okay, family member who lives with you,
Yes.
and?
So she was calling that family member asking for...
You can't tell me what any of that was about.
I'm sorry. So after the conversation with the family member told me what she said. I know, I'm not saying the conversation.
Absolutely right.
So I told Brandon what she said, and we thought at the time, let's have an intervention.
Okay, now, so without giving any credibility to any out-of-court statements, I assume by the word intervention, you had a suspicion that the defendant was using drugs or alcohol.
Yes.
Before that, before September 4th, did you have any knowledge of ongoing substance abuse with your best friend?
Yes.
Since when?
For a very long time.
Okay. Did you ever discuss the drug use with her?
Yes.
Well, you can tell me what those discussions were like. What kind of drugs were you afraid she was using?
I prefer not to say.
Well, you can't not say. That's what this is all about. You wanted to have an intervention. You didn't want to have an intervention because she was having caramel-covered popcorn. There was a controlled substance, I assume, that you were afraid she was using.
Yes.
Which was what?
Cocaine.
Have you ever seen her using cocaine?
Yes.
Did you ever use cocaine with her?
Yes.
Between May and September, had you ever used cocaine with her?
No.
So it was before that?
Yes.
His name is Brandon?
Yes.
Had Brandon ever used cocaine with the two of you?
No.
Did you ever see Brandon use cocaine?
No.
Okay. So you, who had used cocaine with her, decided to have an intervention with Brandon.
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an inbound call agent. I sell tickets.
Okay. And what does Brandon do?
He's disabled.
And who was going to be at this intervention?
It was myself, Brandon, and another mutual friend.
Mutual friend. Now, this mutual friend, whose name I will not have you state, have you ever seen that mutual friend use any sort of controlled substance? Answer the question.
Yes.
Yes. So now you have two people who've used controlled substance, one who has not, to your knowledge, doing an intervention.
Correct.
Okay, and do you know what an intervention is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's basically a meeting of the minds of having a discussion with one person about an issue that...
And who's there?
Who's there?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say trusted people that I would feel that they were...
Sarah, I want you to look up the word intervention and read me the very, very simplistic definition of an intervention.
From the Mayo Clinic, an intervention is a carefully planned process that may be done by family and friends in consultation with a doctor or professional, such as a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, or directed by an intervention professional called an interventionalist.
Okay, so what you don't have is something, I assume, this conversation occurred on September 4th.
Correct.
Was it on that same day that you decided to have an intervention?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with the word well-planned, not as a result of a conversation that you have with somebody. And it's a well-planned event done in conjunction with very often relatives or close family who have a concern that something is out of control, some abusive behavior that's related to either alcohol or other controlled substances, in conjunction with a licensed professional where everything is synchronized, but managed by a professional. Do you understand?
Yes, this was a bad plan.
There was no plan. It was a plan made because you were annoyed.
Cardi nods. Caption coming up.
Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, but they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
You kidnapped her into your house.
Cardi winces. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jennifer and Cardi.
Jennifer Paramon claims her former friend, Cardi Moran, broke her television. Cardi is countersuing for emotional distress.
Now, you were annoyed at the conversation, so what you did was not really an intervention. What did you think was going to happen at the end of this intervention? What was supposed to happen to her? According to what I read, you called her, or someone called her, probably your family member, called her with regard to these drugs that she wanted to purchase. Is that what happened?
Yes.
And said, I have them, come to the house.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not a giant leap. You have to put that together. So she calls your family member for some cocaine. You arrange for an intervention. Your family member calls her at your request and says, come to the house. So that's what happened.
Yes.
Okay, but she was lured to your apartment.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Yes.
By whom?
By us. By her.
What do you mean by us?
They all said-
myself.
Ship up.
Myself, Brandon, and another
Well,
mutual
who
friend.
called her and said, come over?
Who called her?
Yes.
We were already going out. She was already going out with Brandon.
Just a second. She
And-
was already going out with Brandon.
Yes. And she decided to come to where I live to come pick up these drugs. Because when she found out that basically the setup was for her to get her to my house. So I told my family member to tell her that we did have it.
Oh, just a second. That's what I said. So she was lured
Yes.
to your house,
Yes.
where you were going to do what with her? What happened when you got to your house?
Basically just talk.
Not basically.
Sorry.
Not basically. You lure somebody to the house. She's come to the house now expecting, let us say, expecting to buy drugs or get drugs. She gets there and realizes that that's not going to happen, that there are other people that that's not going to happen. So tell me what happened when she walked in the house. That's what your case is.
Well, when she walked in the house, I immediately tried to give her a hug, and she was upset.
Now, you immediately tried to give her a hug. What did you say?
I didn't say anything. I just opened arms, and she said, no, it's fake, backing away.
It's fake. What's
Yes.
fake?
My hug.
Okay, so she backed away.
Yes.
And?
And it just started off with
No. Somebody had to say something to her. Somebody had to say this is an intervention. Somebody had to say why she was there. She eventually was going to say, where are the drugs? But you have to tell me what happened.
Yes, when she walked
You
in the
walked
house-
in, you went to give her a hug, pushed you away. Then what? Come on, this was an intervention.
Yes. So we couldn't even get to the part of this is an intervention.
How could you get to an intervention? You
Because
don't know
she-
what an intervention is.
Well, we couldn't get to a part of let's talk. She immediately said she was being set up. This is a setup with arguments back and forth.
Well, what were the arguments back and forth?
The back and forth arguments.
She said, I'm being set up. Somebody said to her, this is an intervention.
We didn't get to that part.
Well, what is the setup that she was talking about?
I don't know why she said.
Well, it was a setup.
It was a setup.
setup.
It was a setup.
Yeah, so I want to know what your end game was.
The end game was to have a conversation with her so we can resolve our issues of why does she need an apology from me? We have been friends for so long. Her getting to my house, yes, we did lie and say, yes, there was drugs at my house. But she already knew from how we're all there that there was no drugs. She was upset. She was irate. She was bringing up the argument that we had earlier in the morning.
So this wasn't an intervention for drugs or alcohol?
It was intervention for drugs and alcohol.
Oh, okay. Then I'm asking you, not what happened, what was your end game?
The end game was to have a conversation with her about how much drugs she was doing because it changed her mood. It made her angry.
Well,
it made
did you have a program for her to go to? Did you have a program to take her to? Had you spoken to a professional? Had you done anything?
No.
Okay. And when she was there, according to you, she was in your house with 3 other people?
Myself and Brandon and another mutual friend.
So with 3 other people,
Yes.
so she was there with 3 other adults.
Yes.
And she was lured there under false pretenses.
Yes.
And What she did, according to you, was pick up a chair and throw it at you, or threw it at a television set, breaking the television set.
She didn't throw it at me.
What did she do?
She threw it directly at my television.
Judy shrugs.
Lucky she didn't throw it at you.
I wish she would have.
That's
exactly what she
that's just a second. You're lucky. You can't do what you did. That's almost like kidnapping. If you're having a serious intervention, you have to sit down, have a working plan, what happened, have the right in your heart, have the right messaging. Your messaging was all wrong. Usually people who are involved in thinking about an intervention have nothing but love in their heart for the person who needs that intervention, and they seek professional help in order to get that person professional help. But they have a plan. You didn't have a plan.
Yes,
you kidnapped her into your house.
It was
you
bad.
Can't do that.
It was bad. It was
very bad.
Yeah.
So you fix your own television set. Your case is dismissed.
But, Your Honor, I have it all on video.
Did she break your TV?
Yes.
I'm going to look at the video. Your case is still going to be dismissed. I believe she broke your TV. Show me the video. I believe it.
And I also have
I believe
the
I believe that you're lucky that's all she did in order to get out of your apartment. Did she ultimately leave your apartment?
Forcefully,
Yes.
I kicked her out.
So forcefully, you tricked her into coming in, and then you kicked her out.
Yes, after breaking my property.
Okay.
Video footage.
Why aren't you like I squirt the dog? I cannot. I said.
Cardi throws a chair.
Are you serious? I'm ready. Are you serious?
Why am I being recorded?
Just a second. I don't know why you're being recorded. In any event, as I said, your case is dismissed. Fix your own TV. You have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, I don't know what this speaker is. What is a speaker?
A speaker, you connect your phone to Bluetooth and you hear music on it.
Okay, so what was it doing at her
It was
house?
never-
Shh.
We were supposed to be hanging out. So I was supposed to be hanging out with Brandon and another mutual friend. I didn't know we were gonna stay at Jennifer's house.
Okay, I just want to know what you brought the speaker.
Yeah, a speaker.
And you left it there.
I didn't leave it there. My things were scattered. When she was kicking me out, my things were scattered, getting kicked into the hallway.
Caption coming up.
When amateurs decide to do an intervention, any negative consequence that flows from that, you just have to accept.
But that's reason for her to break my stuff.
Absolutely. It would have been reason to her to break everything in your apartment to get out.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jennifer and Cardi.
Jennifer Paramon has accused her former friend, Cardi Moran, of breaking her television. Cardi claims Jennifer caused emotional distress after being tricked by Jennifer.
Okay. Did you look for the speaker?
Yeah, I looked everywhere in the hallway.
Do you have her speaker?
There was never a speaker.
Did you see a speaker?
No,
Okay, there's no speaker. Now let's talk about your emotional situation. You got to this, I can't even call it intervention.
Trap.
Trap, that's a good word.
There you go.
That's a good word, thank you. And tell me what happened when you got there.
When I got there, I asked a family member, her family member, to come downstairs.
Okay, Miss Moran, you walk in the door,
Yes.
and there's no question that you were tricked and that this was a trap.
Yes.
That's what it was.
I realized that maybe 1 minute. Okay.
That's what it was. Got in there, and it was an uneasy feeling. You realized that it was a trick to get you there. It was a trap. I want you to tell me what happened when you got inside.
Jennifer starts to walk up to me, like, with her arms open, real slow motion, like, Cardi, I'm sorry. You know, we should talk about this. We're friends. In that same tone. And I'm like, yo, really? You're being fake. I don't really want this. You know, I came here to get what I wanted, and let's go. But Brandon is getting all comfortable. He is disabled, so, you know, all right, fine. He's got to get comfortable. So we start arguing, me and Jennifer, we start arguing.
About what?
About the conversation that me and her had earlier. You know, she said that I should just get over what she said initially for me getting upset.
Okay, so the initial conversation didn't have anything to do with drugs?
We never talked about drugs. When I got to the house, I never had anything to do with them. I was talking to the family member, what I came to get. Then once me and her start arguing, I tell Brandon, like, all right, can we go now? Like, are we done here? Like, let's leave. I want to go.
So what happened? When you said to Brandon, let's go, I want to get out of here, what happened?
She squirts me with a water gun. She tells me, oh, I'm gonna squirt you like I squirt the dogs.
Brandon, stand up. Your last name is?
Milner.
I want you to describe this water gun.
To be honest, Judge, I don't remember seeing a water gun.
It's in the video. If you listen to the video, she says it. I'm gonna support you.
Brandon,
like I support
before
the
I look
dog.
at this again, you were there in the room.
Yes.
I'm going to give you one before I look at the video again. Whether you saw her squirt the water gun or not, did you see a water gun that day?
No, I didn't.
No, okay. So let's play this and let me hear what you're referring to.
Yeah, but why are you like I squirt the dog? I cannot. I said, Jack, are you serious?
Okay, Sarah, you have a much more keen sense
said-
of hearing than I do.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt that dog.
Okay. She's got younger ears than I do. What?
I never squirted her with the
Whether you did or not, are you telling me that
No, I
that
said
Sarah
it.
heard?
I
Okay,
said
so
it.
you did squirt it.
But I
You
didn't
say
squirt
it.
her.
I'm going to squirt you like I squirt the dog. Okay, but that's not an intervention.
We
I mean,
were
I don't know.
arguing at that point. It was already past the
That's because you lured her
conversation,
there.
intervention.
Because you did the wrong thing.
Yeah, it was a horrible plan. It was horrible.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely right. And it caused a great deal of distress. I want to know how you got out of the apartment.
I was kicked out. I was pushed out. My things were thrown into the hallway.
At what point did that happen? Is that after?
Literally 3 seconds after.
After the TV was broken.
Yes.
You were pushed out the door.
Yes.
Well, that's some really good intervention. How long were you in the house?
A total 6 minutes, maybe.
Where did you go from there?
I got picked up and went home.
Got picked up by
2
whom?
hours later by my sister-in-law.
Don't make anything up.
No.
Who picked you up?
My sister-in-law.
Okay.
And my daughter and her boyfriend.
In that 2-hour period,
Yes.
you must have waited somewhere for them.
Yes, I waited in her hallway.
Okay, so you waited. When they came to pick you up, was there any further conversation with her or Brandon? They just picked you up.
Well, between those 2 hours, there was conversations between my daughter and Brandon, my daughter and Jennifer. Everyone was talking.
Well, where was your daughter?
She was home.
So it was on the phone that they were talking?
Yes. And she was pleading with them to give me my stuff back so I could just leave.
The cross complaint, or the countersuit, is seeking $1,800. It's seeking $1,800 not only for the emotional distress that was caused to the defendant, but also for a speaker. They don't have a speaker. How much was the speaker so that I can deduct that?
It was $129.
Okay, so we're really talking about $1,700. Okay, and that's the amount that you want for your emotional distress.
Yes, Your Honor.
For that 6 minutes. I don't blame you. I think it's worth at least that. I think that when amateurs decide for all the wrong reasons to do an intervention, any negative consequence that flows from that, you just have to accept.
But that's reason for her to break my stuff?
Absolutely. It would have been reason to her to break everything in your apartment to get out. Absolutely. You are holding her there. Yes, just a second. You brought her there under false pretenses. That's what you did. And you had somebody else there as well. And according to you, you wrote it was an intervention. But it wasn't an intervention. It was whether you wanted to.
For a 20-year relationship, intervention may be a wrong
Well,
word,
it was
but
it was a very,
conversation.
very wrong word, and you don't trick somebody to come to your house with something else in mind, even if it's to buy drugs. So I'm awarding you $1,700 on the counterclaim for your emotional distress. Your claim for the broken TV is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I have no thoughts.
I'm happy with her decision, but it's bittersweet because these are my friends.
Just have a conversation about certain situations we were having.
Her intention, I don't think it was to make me stop doing what they all do anyway.
I didn't keep her, that's the thing. She walked in freely, walked out.
That's the betrayal.
Yeah, this is over.
It's just time to go separate ways. You know, I lived and I learned. Those are the people that I grew up with. You know, those turn-up days are over anyway, so.
Sarah.
I think this whole situation was a perfect example of what my dad calls lack of two-step thinking.
Okay.
So we can already agree the intentions were not great. They were just maybe potentially rekindling a friendship, and that's not exactly the person you want leading your intervention, if that's what they wanted to call it. And also, what was your plan? If it went the way that the plaintiff at least claims she was intending it, was to get her friend help, say that the defendant broke down and cried and admitted to having a problem and really wanting help. Where was the help? There was no help.
That's true.
So I agreed with you that the plaintiff deserved any amount of damage that happened from having such a lack of a plan in
Well,
something
it was a lack of a plan. She lured her there.
Yeah, I mean, just a messed up situation all in all, and you really have to be coming from the right place to do something like that, and I think neither of them were even close to that sort of healthy place.
Neither the witness nor the plaintiff.
Title: Judy Justice.
Want justice? Go to judyjustice.tv. Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno for rent and the cost of 2 cats.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches Judge Judy.
Case 2170, Jolie versus Calderon Nepomuceno.
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, my goodness.
Judy turns to Katie.
Calderon,
Hello.
what's your first name?
Amante.
Amante.
Yeah.
Good. It's much easier than your last name for me to pronounce. Mr. Giglio, this roughly is what the case is about. You and Miss Calderon were in a relationship for a period of time. You decided to take an apartment. You were both on the lease. So far, correct?
Correct.
Your arrangement with Miss Calderon, which seems to be consistent in both your complaint and your answer, is that you had a much better paying job. She was going to provide the food and some other stuff for the house, and you were going to be covering the rent when you lived together, which you did.
Correct.
There came a time when Armante, who was a friend of yours, came to live with you. According to you, he was going to help out with the rent.
Correct.
He came, he lived with you, he helped out with the rent for maybe a period of time, and then he helped himself to your girlfriend.
Correct.
Now they're a couple. When you were no longer a couple with Miss Calderon, she stayed in the apartment for a period of time, but then they both left.
Correct.
And you're suing both of them for rent and for the return of 2 cats that they took when they left. You claim the cats are yours.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. And some cat expenses in the event that I let them keep the cat. Cats, 2 cats. So when did you and Miss Calderon sign a lease together?
We signed the lease together at the end of July with the landlord present.
July of 2022?
July of 2021. Correct.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
And you had a job working for whom, sir?
I worked for a company called Steris.
What do they do?
They provide medical equipment to hospitals all over the world.
How long have you been working for them?
I'm going to have 8 years under my belt this year.
And when you moved into the apartment in July of 2021, what kind of work was Miss Calderon doing?
At the time, she was working at I want to say an animal hotel.
It was a pet daycare boarding facility.
Okay. Were you an hourly employee?
I was an hourly employee.
And I am correct that when you moved in July, your arrangement was that you were going to pay the rent.
That was
the arrangement.
Correct.
When did Armante come to live with you?
About August to...
That's
right.
Correct.
Shh.
Judy glares at Katie.
Amante was going to be our 3rd roommate.
You mean 1, 2, 3?
Correct.
Well, you're not roommates, really. You and the defendant, Miss Calderon, were not roommates. You shared a room.
We shared a room and
Armante was going to live where?
In another room.
And what was your arrangement with Armante with regard to paying rent?
We would split the rent 3 ways.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much was your share of the rent?
I would say approximately $927.
How long did you live there?
I was there when they signed the lease. I watched it all happen when they signed the lease. I came in, they signed everything.
Well, you didn't sign the lease.
I did not.
But you were there from the beginning?
Yes.
And it was your agreement with the plaintiff that you would pay 1/3 of the rent?
Yes.
Great.
We asked the landlord
Okay, so, hey, try not to hold each other's hands. Let's do the coochie-coochie someplace else. So you agreed with the plaintiff that despite the fact that you were not on the lease, you were going to assume the responsibility of 1/3 of the rent, $927.
Yes.
So you moved in July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. You left in April?
Yeah.
So you were there for 9 months?
Yes.
Did you pay rent for the 9 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
He paid rent for about the 7.5 months.
Okay. And then you left?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I decided to leave because he decided to go to another place he was offered.
What do you mean he
could-
decided to go to another place
He
that was...
got a place from his grandparents in another city. So I couldn't hold down the rent with her, so I decided to leave to save money and go back to my parents' house.
Now, Mr. Jalil, you see, you don't make up a story like that, like he just told me. A lot of that has the ring of truth to it. Where are you living now?
My grandparents' house in an in-law unit.
So when did you tell them that you were going to a different place?
In March.
When did you leave?
I left in July.
Did you let him know that you were staying until the end of the lease?
I
what? What?
I discussed with them that I would be leaving, but I would stick around to help them find either a different location or even suggesting that we all went back to our respected families just to, call it.
Mr. Jalil, this isn't working for you. I have to tell you something, sir. This case is not working for you at all. And it's only because Mr. Amante is very direct with me that you're suing them for $10,000. Where does that come from in your mind? Your agreement with her was you were going to pay the rent. You were never out of pocket. Your agreement was you were going to pay the rent. He paid his rent when he was there. He paid his 1/3. You then told them you were leaving. That's a whole different story than what you wrote in your complaint, Mr. Jalil. Do you understand?
Correct.
It's a whole different story. So, at best, Armante would owe you for 3 months' rent if they just left. But you told them that you were leaving. Now, when did you find out that they were a couple?
I found out at the end of April.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
So you just had 2 months left to the lease. So he was paying you, he paid you in March, you had May, June, you signed the lease in July, so it was over at the end of June, June 30th.
It would have been over at the end of July, Your Honor.
Well, she doesn't owe you any money for rent. At most, he owes you 2 months' rent. Tell me why you left.
My job doesn't pay that well, so I decided to go back to my parents' house.
When you took this apartment, this expensive apartment, that was almost $3,000 a month rent, had you had a discussion with Armante about moving in with you before?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jalil, I'm reading your complaint because something wasn't registering right with me. You say you moved into the apartment together in August of 2021. Then you go through a whole bunch of stuff about a cat and then another adopted cat. You said in October we adopted a second cat. Around this same time, a third roommate moved in to shoulder some of the rent. Well, that's not true. He moved in right at the beginning.
And that was...
That was what?
That was...
a mistake.
That was a mistake.
Okay. But Armante acknowledges that he agreed right at the beginning. He volunteered the fact that he was there at the lease signing because it was agreed at the lease signing that he was going to pay a third of the rent. So, sir, you owe him rent as long as you show me that you've paid the rent. You moved out in July?
Yes.
And you paid your rent through July, or were you evicted?
No, I paid my rent in July.
Through July?
Yes.
Okay. 1854. Armante, you owe him $1,854. That's for 2 months' rent. Got it?
Okay.
I'm not subtracting anything because you stole his girlfriend.
That's fair.
Caption, coming up.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case?
Either the return of both cats or $5,000.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil.
And later today.
There were restrictions put on the space.
No.
You have to pay attention.
Okay.
Sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kamar, Katie, and Amante.
Kamar Jalil claims his former roommates, Katie Calderon and Amante Nepomuceno, are wrongfully keeping his cats and owe him rent money.
Now let's deal with the issue with the cats. She doesn't owe you any rent. That was not your agreement with her. You moved out in July. August, September, October, November, December. 5 months ago, she's had both cats, right?
Correct.
She says they're her cats. When did you first file a small claims case?
September of 2022.
What were you requesting when you filed your small claims case? Be careful.
I was requesting either the return of both cats or $5,000, which was the accumulated expense of not just the cats, but also the expenses of her dogs as well. So any animal expenses for the time.
That's not happening for you, Mr. Jalil. When the cats were either registered or went to the vet, whose name is on the sheet as owner?
I believe it was Miss Calderon.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And she owns the cats, and she's had them for the last 5 months. I suggest that you go and adopt 2 more if you want some more cats. You understand?
Yes.
You were living together as a couple. However, your friend Armante has to pay you for the couple of months' rent that he didn't because he says, not you, he volunteered that was your agreement from the very beginning. So he owes you $1,854. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I think he's just kind of butthurt that I moved on.
At least now I can put everything behind me and say that I did try.
I didn't think it would escalate this far.
All you can do in a situation like this is just you learn from it and you move on.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
This is what it is. It's life.
Judy.
I find fascinating, Sarah, that people will write and or be assisted in writing a complaint and an answer, but they read it over. This man is an intelligent man. He has a serious job for 8 years. First of all, he was suing for $10,000. Come up with that money, $5,000.